Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening.
Jack stepped out into the neon glow of New Terra's evening bustle, his eyes taking a moment to adjust to the kaleidoscope of colors that lit up the cityscape of Oron. The hum of conversation mixed with the occasional laughter and the distant hum of sky cars gave the city a lively, almost electric atmosphere. As he maneuvered through the crowd, his focus was suddenly caught by a sight not often seen. A Zytharian in full cultural attire, her silken robes catching the light with every graceful step she took. "Never thought I'd see a Zytharian here," muttered Tom, Jack's close friend and co-worker, who had just caught up to him after clocking out from their shift at the tech hub. "Nor did I," Jack replied, his curiosity piqued. "Should we say hi?" Tom chuckled. "And do what? Ask about her outfit?" "Why not?" Jack shrugged and started walking towards her before Tom could protest. "Excuse me," Jack called out gently, not wanting to startle her. The Zytharian turned, her eyes a striking shade of violet meeting his with an unreadable expression. "Hi, I'm Jack and this is Tom. We couldn't help but notice your beautiful attire. It's not every day we see someone from Zythar here." The corners of her lips curled into a smile. "Thank you. I'm Zara. It's my first time on Oron. Your city is very vibrant." Tom nodded. "It's the neon. Lights up the place, but nothing like the bioluminescent forests of Zythar, right?" "You know of our forests?" Zara looked impressed. "We're tech guys," Jack interjected. "We like to read about different planets in our spare time. Zythar's ecosystems are fascinating." Zara's interest seemed piqued. "Perhaps you could show me some of your city's charms?" "I am here to learn about human technologies and culture." Jack exchanged a quick glance with Tom. "We'd love to." Their first stop was the Museum of Interstellar History, a local favorite showcasing relics from various explored worlds. As they wandered through the exhibits, Zara's enthusiasm was palpable. Each artifact prompted a flurry of questions from her, ranging from human space travel history to the cultural significance of the items on display. Tom, always the more technically minded, explained a model of the early human spacecraft, while Jack delved into stories of the pioneers who first made contact with alien civilizations. Zara listened intently, her fascination growing with every story. "Humans are quite daring," Zara mused as they exited the museum. "Your history is full of leaps into the unknown." Jack laughed. "I guess we are. Sometimes, you have to take a leap and see where you land." "Much like tonight," Zara replied, her gaze meeting his. "I took a chance talking to you, and here I am, learning more than I hoped." As the evening deepened, the trio found themselves at a small, bustling food market, vibrant with the aromas of dozens of cuisines. Zara was curious about everything, from the simplest street snack to the more exotic dishes. "Ever tried human street food?" Tom asked as he handed her a wrapped delicacy. She took a tentative bite, her face lighting up with delight. "Delicious. There is a similar snack on Zythar, but it's much spicier. Humans like their spices mild," Jack quipped, leading the way to a stall with an array of sweets. Hours passed like minutes, and the city's night sky began to transition to the pale shades of dawn. Standing outside her temporary residence, Zara turned to them with a sincere smile. "Thank you for this enlightening evening, Jack, Tom. I must study your cultures further, but tonight was a perfect introduction." "We're glad to have met you, Zara," Jack said, feeling a connection that went beyond mere fascination. "Maybe we could show you more of the city tomorrow?" "I would like that very much," she replied, her violet eyes sparkling with anticipation. As she disappeared inside, Jack couldn't help but feel that this unexpected encounter might just be the beginning of something extraordinary. The next morning, Jack and Tom met outside Zara's residence, each with a mental list of must-see places that they thought would impress their new alien friend. Zara greeted them wearing simpler, yet still distinctly Zytharian attire. Her excitement was evident as she stepped out into the fresh morning air of New Terra. "So, what's on the agenda today?" Zara asked, her eyes bright with curiosity. "We thought we'd start with the Central Library. It's not just books. It's a hub for cultural learning and digital archives," Jack explained as they hailed a skycab. "Sounds fascinating." Zara nodded enthusiastically. As they traveled, Tom pulled out a device, showing Zara a virtual map of the city. There's also an art gallery nearby that features interactive exhibits. Artists from different planets contribute, so it's a mix of human and alien art. Zara was visibly intrigued. I'm eager to see how your artists interpret their worlds. Arriving at the library, they were greeted by soaring architecture and walls lined with digital screens alongside traditional books. Zara was drawn immediately to the interactive displays, where historical events were brought to life through holographic technology. Humans have such a tactile way of preserving history, Zara commented, moving her hand through a hologram of an ancient human city. Jack smiled. We find it helps to feel connected to our past. How do Zytharians preserve history? We use memory orbs. They store memories and emotions, not just events. You can experience someone's actual feelings from moments in history, Zara explained. Tom, always keen on new tech, was fascinated. That sounds incredible. It's a whole different level of learning about the past. They spent the morning exploring various sections of the library, from literature to scientific advancements. Zara absorbed everything, asking questions that often led to deep discussions about differences and similarities in their cultures. For lunch, they decided on a small cafe that was known for its view of the city's Central Park. Over meals that were a blend of human and alien cuisine, their conversation turned to personal stories. What made you decide to visit Earth, Zara? Tom asked as he tried a forkful of a Zytharian vegetable dish. Zara took a sip of her drink before answering. Curiosity, mainly. Zythar is isolated. I wanted to see how other species live, learn from them, and maybe improve our ways back home. And what's been the biggest surprise so far? Jack queried, genuinely interested in her perspective. Your music, she laughed lightly. It's so varied. On Zythar, our music is more uniform. Here, it's like every emotion has its own soundtrack. Encouraged by her interest, Jack proposed their next stop. You like music? There's a live concert tonight at the Cultural Center. Different genres, from classical to contemporary. It might give you a broader taste of our musical diversity. That sounds wonderful, Zara beamed. The rest of the afternoon was spent at the art gallery, where Zara was particularly taken with a virtual reality exhibit that allowed visitors to step into paintings and experience the environment depicted. Each piece brought new wonder and appreciation from Zara, who was intrigued by the human capacity for creativity. As the sky began to darken, they made their way to the Cultural Center. The concert was a vibrant affair, with musicians from various parts of Earth and beyond. Zara was captivated, her eyes alight with joy as she experienced everything from the deep bass of human rock to the ethereal melodies of interstellar symphonies. After the concert, as they walked Zara back, the streets of New Terra alive with the nighttime energy, she turned to Jack and Tom with a sincere smile. Today was enlightening. I've learned so much about your culture, your creativity, your expressions of emotion through art and music. Thank you for sharing your world with me. It's our pleasure, Zara, Jack replied. There's plenty more to see. I look forward to it, Zara said, her voice full of anticipation for the days to come. As they parted ways for the night, both Jack and Tom felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Sharing their world with Zara not only showed her the richness of human culture, but also opened their eyes to the beauty of cultural exchange and the potential for deeper interstellar relationships. The next day brought a light drizzle, typical for this time of year on Oron, which gave the city streets a glossy sheen. Jack and Tom met Zara at a cozy coffee shop near the cultural district, where the sounds of gentle rain mixed with the murmur of early morning conversations. Morning, Zara. Hope you brought an umbrella, Tom greeted, shaking his slightly wet jacket. Zara smiled, pulling out a sleek, iridescent umbrella from her bag. I'm prepared, thanks to your advice yesterday. Jack, sipping his coffee, was eager to continue their exploration. Rain or not, we thought it'd be great to visit the Botanical Dome today. It's like a living museum of Earth's and other planets' flora. That sounds delightful, Zara replied, her eyes lighting up. I've read that Earth has a diverse range of ecosystems. They finished their coffees and ventured out, umbrellas in hand, towards the Botanical Dome. The structure was a massive glass dome, a sanctuary for thousands of plant species from across the galaxy. As they entered the warm, humid interior of the dome, the scent of wet earth and fresh vegetation filled the air. Tom led the way to the earth section, where ancient trees towered above and exotic flowers bloomed. "This here is a sequoia," Tom explained, patting the trunk of a massive tree. "Some of these can live for thousands of years." Zara placed her hand gently on the bark, a look of reverence on her face. "Incredible," she whispered. "Zythar has nothing of this magnitude." Their conversation flowed effortlessly as they moved from one exhibit to another. Jack noticed Zara's fascination with the tactile aspects of their tour. She touched leaves, smelled flowers, and listened intently to the sound of a small waterfall. Seeing her interest in sensory experiences, Jack suggested, "You seem to enjoy the hands-on approach. There's an interactive section where you can feel the textures of different plant barks and leaves blindfolded. It's meant to enhance the tactile experience." Zara was enthusiastic about the idea. "I would love to try that. On Zythar, we often use sensory enhancement to connect with our surroundings." They approached the interactive display where various plant materials were set up in a row, each with a different texture. Zara tied the blindfold around her eyes, and Jack and Tom guided her hands from one sample to the next. "How does this one feel?" Jack asked as Zara ran her fingers over a rough, fibrous bark. "It's rugged but comforting, like it tells a story of survival and time," Zara described thoughtfully, her fingers lingering over the textures. Moving on to a softer, velvety leaf, she smiled. "This is soothing, almost like a gentle whisper." Tom and Jack exchanged a look of amusement and pride. Showing Zara this little piece of earth was more rewarding than they had anticipated. After the sensory experience, they continued their tour, discussing not just the plants, but also the philosophies behind conserving nature. Zara was particularly interested in the human effort to preserve their natural heritage. As the afternoon waned, they sat down at a small cafe inside the dome, surrounded by the lush greenery. The conversation turned personal as they shared stories about their families and backgrounds. "My father is a botanist," Jack shared. "That's probably why I feel so at home here." Zara nodded. "My mother teaches Zytharian history. She instilled in me the love for learning about other cultures, and I'm just here for the adventure," Tom joked, making them all laugh. As they prepared to leave, the rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and crisp. "Thank you for today," Zara said, looking between Jack and Tom. "I feel like I've not only seen but felt a part of your world." "We're glad to have shared it with you," Jack responded, feeling a deep connection not just to their guest, but also to his own roots in the natural world around him. As they walked out of the dome, the setting sun broke through the clouds, bathing the city in a warm, golden light. It was a perfect end to a day of exploration and connection, promising more enriching days to come. The following evening, Jack planned something quieter but equally enriching, a visit to the observatory on the outskirts of New Terra. This would be a night of stargazing and deep conversation, a chance for Jack, Tom, and Zara to peer into the cosmos and share their dreams and fears under the celestial canopy. As they drove out of the bustling city, the lights began to fade, revealing a tapestry of stars that shimmered against the dark sky. The observatory, perched on a hill, offered a panoramic view of the heavens. "Ever looked through a high-powered telescope before?" Jack asked Zara as they ascended the steps to the main viewing platform. "Only at Zythar's Astronomy Center, but never focusing on this part of the galaxy," Zara replied, her voice filled with anticipation. Tom, who had been quiet, chimed in, "The perspective might surprise you. Sometimes, seeing the vastness of space makes your personal problems seem smaller." Inside, they were greeted by Dr. Henson, the resident astronomer, who was an old college friend of Jack's. "Jack and friends, welcome. Let me show you around." Dr. Henson led them to the main telescope, a towering instrument pointed at the night sky. "Tonight, we have a clear view of the Andromeda Galaxy. It's about 2.5 million light-years away." Zara looked through the telescope, marveling at the sight. "It's beautiful," she whispered, stepping back to let Tom have a look. "Thanks, Henson. What else is on the celestial menu tonight?" Jack asked, grinning at his friend's enthusiasm. We'll have a good view of the Orion Nebula soon. It's a stellar nursery where new stars are born, Dr. Henson explained as he adjusted the telescope settings. As each took turns at the telescope, Dr. Henson shared stories of ancient astronomers who had named the constellations, blending science with mythology. Zara listened intently, then shared a bit of Zarian lore about the stars. Our ancestors believed that stars were the eyes of the gods, watching over us. It's an old myth but part of our cultural heritage, she said, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Moved by the night's theme, Jack suggested, why don't we share what inspires us about the universe? For me, it's the possibility of discovering something new, something that changes our understanding of everything. Tom nodded thoughtfully before speaking. I'm fascinated by the idea of parallel universes. Imagine, there could be other versions of us out there, making different choices, living different lives. Zara smiled softly. I am inspired by the connectivity it suggests. Despite the vast distances, here we are, three different beings, sharing our thoughts under the same sky. Their conversation drifted from scientific theories to personal reflections. Jack felt a bond forming, not just of friendship but of shared human and alien experience. As the night drew to a close, Dr. Henson invited them to the observatory's deck to watch the meteor shower that was expected. Wrapped in blankets provided by the observatory, they watched streaks of light dance across the sky. It's beautiful, isn't it? How fleeting they are, like moments in life, Zara remarked, her voice contemplative. Jack agreed. It reminds us to cherish every moment, every connection. Tom, usually the more practical one, added, and it's a reminder that there's so much more to explore, so much we don't know. As they eventually said their goodbyes to Dr. Henson and made their way back to the city, the car was quiet, each lost in thought. The evening had deepened their understanding of each other and the universe, tying them together in a shared awe of the cosmos. They were no longer just residents of one world or another but citizens of the galaxy, bound by their curiosity and the starlit sky. The following day brought a shift in their adventures. Jack planned a more personal experience, a visit to his favorite part of the city, the old quarters, where the architecture dated back to the early colonists of Orion. He hoped to share a piece of his heritage with Zara, making the experience more intimate and revealing. As they walked through the narrow cobblestone streets, Zara appeared captivated by the blend of old and new structures, her eyes scanning every detail. The area was less crowded, more serene, an ideal place for deeper conversations. Each of these buildings has a story, Jack began, pointing to a particularly ancient-looking structure with ivy crawling up its sides. Some say this district is where the true heart of the city beats. It feels different here, Zara noted, her voice reflective, like stepping back in time. Jack nodded. Exactly. I used to come here a lot when I needed to think, or just escape the hustle of the modern parts of the city. They stopped at a small, secluded park tucked away between two old buildings. The park was a hidden gem, unknown to most tourists. Tom, who had been mostly silent, spoke up. This spot is Jack's secret refuge. Zara looked at Jack with a smile. A personal sanctuary? That's a precious thing to share. They sat on a bench beneath an old Terran oak, its leaves whispering in the gentle breeze. The conversation turned to their personal lives, each opening up about their aspirations and challenges. Jack shared his dream of becoming more than just a tech developer, of one day leading projects that could bridge the gap between different cultures. Tom talked about his love for historical restoration. His projects often focused on preserving the very buildings they had walked past. What about you, Zara? What drives you? Tom asked, genuinely curious about her deeper motivations. Zara paused before answering. I want to contribute to my planet's evolution. Zythar is isolated, but I believe in opening it up, learning from the universe and sharing our knowledge. Their conversation deepened, each sharing not just dreams but also personal fears. Zara admitted her worry about being an ambassador for her people, the pressure to succeed in her mission. I understand that, Jack replied. It's not easy carrying expectations. But look at what you've already achieved. Making connections, sharing your culture, and learning about ours. Zara nodded, appreciating his words. It's comforting to know others share similar burdens. As the afternoon waned, Jack suggested they visit a nearby cafe known for its collection of vintage earth music. The cafe was cozy, filled with the soft sounds of classical music and the rich aroma of coffee. Sitting at a corner table, they continued their discussion. This time, the focus shifted to lighter topics: favorite foods, music, books, and places they'd visited on their respective planets. "I love this," Zara said, looking around the cafe. "It's like music and coffee are universal comforts, isn't it?" Jack laughed. "Absolutely. Sometimes, it's the simple things that connect us the most." Tom, who had been browsing a shelf of vintage records, came back with a selection. "Ever heard of vinyl? This is how we used to listen to music back in the day." Fascinated, Zara watched as Tom put a record on the player. The crackling sound before the music started seemed to mesmerize her. "It's beautiful," she murmured as the music filled the cafe. As evening approached, they reluctantly left the cafe. The streets of the old quarters were now lit by soft streetlights, casting a golden glow on the cobblestones. This was a perfect day, Zara confessed as they walked back to her place. "Thank you for sharing your personal spaces with me." "It was our pleasure," Jack responded warmly. "It's not just about seeing new places, but about understanding each other better." As they parted ways, the connection between them had clearly deepened, moving beyond mere friendship to something more profound. Jack and Tom walked away discussing the day, both feeling that the time spent had brought them closer to Zara, bridging worlds one story at a time. The next day, Zara invited Jack and Tom to her temporary residence, a gesture of hospitality and a chance to share a piece of her own culture with them. As they entered her living space, they were greeted by the subtle, exotic scents of Zarian incense and the soft, ambient lighting that mimicked the twilight of her home planet. "I wanted to show you something from Zythar, a part of our cultural heritage," Zara began, her voice tinged with excitement. "It's a traditional dance, something that's very special to my people." Jack and Tom settled into comfortable cushions on the floor, their curiosity piqued. Zara stepped aside to change into her dance attire, returning in a flowing, vibrantly colored garment that seemed to shimmer with its own light. The dance is called Zarian. It's used to tell stories, convey emotions, and connect with others, Zara explained as she positioned herself in the open space cleared for her performance. The music that began to play was unlike anything Jack or Tom had ever heard. Ethereal tones mixed with rhythmic beats that seemed to pulse with the lifeblood of an alien world. Zara moved with grace and precision, her body telling a story of longing, joy, and unity. Her arms swayed and her feet moved in patterns that were mesmerizing. "Each movement has meaning," Zara said after the dance, her breath slightly quicker from the exertion. "It's about expressing what words cannot." "That was incredible," Tom said, genuinely impressed. "It's like nothing I've seen on Earth." Jack nodded in agreement. "It's beautiful. You've managed to convey so much emotion through your dance. It's a very powerful way to communicate." Encouraged by their interest, Zara suggested, "Would you like to try some basic steps? I can teach you a simple version." Both men laughed nervously but agreed. Zara stood them up and began instructing them on the basic footwork and arm movements. The room was filled with laughter and stumbled steps as they tried to mimic her fluid movements, finding a new appreciation for the complexity and beauty of her dance. As they took a break, Zara served them a traditional Zytharian drink, a sweet, fruity beverage that cooled them down. "Dance is a way to preserve our history and share it with others," she explained. "It's much more than just movement. It's about heritage and identity." The atmosphere became more relaxed, and the conversation shifted to other cultural traditions that involved dance and music. Jack shared stories about Earth's diverse dance cultures, from the passionate flamenco of Spain to the precise ballets of Russia. "I see dance is a universal language," Zara mused. "Maybe that's why it feels so natural to share it with you." As evening approached, they continued to practice a few more steps, laughing at their own clumsiness, but enjoying the process of learning and sharing. Zara was a patient teacher, encouraging them with warmth and enthusiasm. "Thanks for today, Zara," Jack said as they prepared to leave. "You've given us a glimpse into your world that we'll never forget." "It was my pleasure," Zara replied, her eyes gleaming with joy. "Sharing this part of my culture has been a highlight of my visit." Tom, who had been quiet, added, "It's days like these that remind me how much we can learn from each other. It's not just about the differences but the similarities, the universal experiences we all share." As they said their goodbyes, the bond that had formed between them was palpable. They had started as strangers from different worlds, but through the sharing of their cultures, they had woven a tapestry of friendship that transcended planets. Jack and Tom left feeling enriched, not just by the dance, but by the deeper understanding and connection they had forged with Zara. That evening, after a day steeped in cultural exchange, the mood shifted towards a more intimate setting. Zara invited Jack and Tom back to her place, wanting to extend the night with more personal stories and shared experiences. The living room was softly lit, with cushions strewn around creating a relaxed atmosphere. "I thought tonight we could just relax, maybe watch a film from ScI-Fi," Zara suggested as she handed out light refreshments. "It's a good way to understand our storytelling." "Sounds great," Jack replied, settling down on a cushion. "I'm curious to see how different or similar Zarian films are to ours." Tom, who was always interested in media, chimed in, "What genre is it?" "Drama, thriller, comedy." "It's a bit of a drama mixed with science fiction," Zara explained as she set up the projection. "It's about a Zarian explorer discovering new worlds. Sort of mirrors our current situation, doesn't it?" As the film played, the three of them were drawn into a story that, while alien in setting and characters, conveyed emotions and dilemmas that were universally human. The film featured breathtaking visuals of Zarian's landscapes and technology, which were quite different yet fascinating. After the movie, the discussion turned to the themes of exploration and discovery. "I see a lot of parallels with human sci-fi," Jack noted. "The curiosity, the fear of the unknown, the triumph of discovery." "Yes, those are themes we find compelling too," Zara agreed. "It's about the journey, not just the destination." Tom, reflecting on the film, added, "It makes me think about how much we assume about each other's cultures. Films like this open a window into understanding each other better." Feeling more comfortable, they shared stories about their personal lives. Jack spoke about his early years growing up on Earth and his fascination with space that led him to his current career. Tom shared anecdotes about his family's traditions and his passion for historical preservation. Zara listened intently, then shared her own story. "On ScI-Fi, I was always the odd one out, curious about the universe, wanting to explore, not just settle for the known. Coming here, meeting you, it's part of fulfilling that curiosity." As the night deepened, Zara pulled out a Zarian musical instrument, similar to a guitar but with a softer, more melodic sound. "Would you like to hear some traditional Zarian music?" she offered. "Absolutely," Jack responded eagerly. Zara played, and the music was hauntingly beautiful, adding another layer to their evening of cultural and emotional exchange. The music prompted deeper discussions about hopes for the future and their fears. Tom, usually more reserved, opened up about his worries for cultural preservation in an ever-globalizing universe. "Sometimes I fear we'll lose these unique parts of ourselves," he confessed. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of the conversation. "But it's nights like these that give me hope. Sharing, learning. It's how we keep our cultures alive and respected." Zara stopped playing, her expression thoughtful. "Perhaps our biggest challenge and our greatest opportunity lie in how well we learn to share our worlds with each other." As the evening wound down, they made plans to meet again, eager to continue their explorations and discussions. They parted ways with a sense of unity and anticipation for the future. "This has been an incredible night," Jack said as he and Tom walked home. "I feel like we've traveled to ScI-Fi and back just sitting in her living room." "Yeah," Tom agreed. "It's amazing how much you can learn about someone when you really listen and share." The chapter closed with the friends looking forward to their next meeting, each pondering the new perspectives they had gained and the deepening bonds between them. As the days turned into weeks, Jack, Tom, and Zara's friendship deepened into a bond that was both profound and enlightening. Realizing the importance of their shared experiences, they decided to end Zara's visit with a significant journey to ScI-Fi, Zara's homeworld. It was a decision born out of curiosity, but also a commitment to foster deeper interstellar understanding and friendship. On the morning of their departure, the trio met at the spaceport, each carrying not just luggage but a sense of anticipation for the adventure ahead. "Are you sure we're going to blend in there?" Tom asked jokingly, looking at his travel clothes compared to Zara's more traditional Zytharian attire. Zara laughed. "You'll be fine. I've arranged for some garments to be made for you upon arrival. We Zytharians are quite welcoming." Jack, ever the more thoughtful one, looked around the bustling spaceport. "This feels like a step into a whole new chapter of our lives," he said, not just reflecting on the journey but also the implications of their friendship. Zara nodded. "It is, and I'm grateful we're taking it together. Who would have thought, when we first met, that we'd end up here?" As they boarded the spacecraft, the reality of their journey began to sink in. The voyage to Zythar was smooth, filled with discussions about what they hoped to learn and experience. Zara shared more about her planet's history, culture, and the places they would visit. Upon arrival, they were struck by the beauty of Zythar. The architecture was a harmonious blend of nature and technology, tall structures that mimicked the flow of water and wind, surrounded by lush greenery that was meticulously maintained. Their first destination was Zara's home, where they were warmly greeted by her family. Her parents were curious and gracious, eager to learn about their daughter's friends from Earth. "Welcome to our home," Zara's father said, his voice rich with a welcoming tone. "We hope you find Zythar as fascinating as we find your stories of Earth." The visit was marked by cultural exchanges, from food and music to art and technology. Jack and Tom were introduced to Zytharian advancements in environmental technology, something both found profoundly inspiring given their backgrounds. One evening, sitting under the stars of Zythar, Jack brought up a conversation that had been on his mind. "Zara, your world is incredible. It's made me think about how much we stand to gain from each other." Tom added, "Yeah, the exchange of ideas, the blending of cultures, it could change the way we address challenges on Earth." Zara smiled, looking up at her home sky. "And perhaps Zythar can learn from Earth as well. You've opened my eyes to the value of exploration and friendship beyond our stars." Their final night on Zythar culminated in a grand celebration, a gesture of goodwill and friendship. Zara's community came together to show their appreciation for the Earth visitors, symbolizing a new beginning in interstellar relations. As they prepared to leave Zythar, goodbyes were heartfelt but hopeful. "This isn't the end, it's just the beginning," Zara assured them, embracing both Jack and Tom. Back on the spacecraft returning to Earth, the friends shared a quiet moment, looking out at the stars. "We've started something bigger than us," Jack mused, feeling both nostalgic and optimistic. "Let's keep this going," Tom agreed. "What we've experienced can maybe one day inspire others to reach out across the stars." As the spacecraft entered the orbit of Earth, they all agreed to continue their efforts in cultural exchange and planning future visits. The journey had changed them, not just as individuals, but as ambassadors for a future where understanding and cooperation could lead to a better universe for all.